Beautiful. What's going on, family? How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the Seer Mastermind podcast. I'm stepping in tonight. My name is Maurice Bay, aka the Helpful Trucker. I'm going to step in tonight as host for my co-host, Bakar Bay. I was about to say a AKA, bro.
I can't
I
stand
was
her.
about to give you the bomb AKA, but you know what?
I knew she was gonna do it.
My co-host, my brother Bakar Bay, lifestyle fulfillment engineer, lifestyle fulfillment coach, and
Oh
also my
man.
other co-host, my sister, Majida Bay, your financial conductor. How you guys doing this evening?
I'm,
Unbelievable.
I'm great with the running gag.
That's
We
good.
love
That's
it.
good. That's good. That's good. That's what's up. I really was about to give you the mean acronym, bro. That's a little inside joke for y'all that may decide to check this out between us three. So, hey, it's Friday night. We go live every other Friday, and we just kind of converse with each other about business and about different subjects that we're interested in talking about and chatting about. And we decided to go live because we figured our conversations would be enlightening to others. So our podcast, our show is more so focused towards creative entrepreneurs, and our subject matter that we're going to talk to tonight is kind of focused on creative entrepreneurs, those that are building some type of online business in a non-traditional way, or building some type of untraditional business. There's a lot of things that fit into that category, but that's pretty much what we're focused on, what we all are. We all building our own thing, and we do this together as a family, essentially, to be able to just share nuggets with anybody that wants to join along on the journey. So before we get into the conversation, I want to let you guys know, if you're watching this right now, if you get value from this, if you enjoy it, if you want to see more of it, make sure you give us some feedback, give us a like, give us a share, give us a shout out, give us a comment. Any of that stuff would be great. Just kind of let us know that you're enjoying what we're doing. So anyway, again, we're gonna get into the conversation tonight, which again is focused on. You know what? I've been thinking about this all week. I think what we're talking about tonight is going to be beneficial for creative entrepreneurs that may not see a way out, that may not be where they want to be, but don't necessarily in their creative entrepreneurial endeavor, but you don't necessarily see a way out. You don't necessarily see how you're gonna get to the next level, and you may even be questioning whether you think it's still worth it to go this way. That's kind of, in my opinion, what I think. Who I think this conversation is going to be beneficial for tonight. So we always say we're going to talk about one thing, but then we end up getting into a broader topic. So, but we're going to try to keep it tight tonight. So, but again, before we get into the topic, we're gonna go around and do a little round robin and kind of just share with each other how the week has gone, how everybody's doing. Essentially, we like to check in with each other. Definitely, that's first and foremost. How you doing before anything else comes into play. So, Bakar, how are you doing, bro?
Oh man, I always like to defer to the sister, but I'll go ahead, being the youngest member of the squad. Again, welcome everybody to the Seer Mastermind Show. This is a space for creative entrepreneurs to find support, encouragement, accountability, and recognition. That's what Seer stands for. We keep things simple around here. So, see, man, I'm just excited. This month I've had a chance to really spend some time with family. Been moving around a lot as well, but in moving around a lot, planning and preparing some moves, I was able to clear out one of my bins that I've been toting around for years, that had just like old invoices and documents and tax papers and stuff like that. And it has been beyond. So I found stuff from all the way back in 2005, and old, what was it, like car insurance quotes, and just a whole bin full of stuff. And I started going through, itemizing it. I'm saying, I haven't touched this stuff in years. And I just dumped it.
Sounds like a hoarder to me.
Look at my face.
I see it. That's why I bust out laughing.
If you know anything about me, I am far from it.
The exact opposite, huh?
I don't like to hold on to stuff for
A
too
minimalist.
long.
That's a minimalist at best, huh?
At best.
Yeah.
I understand. Just the essentials and a couple of luxuries. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So that's living a free life. But no, it was freeing. I'm looking in the bin. I was like, oh man, it's fully empty. And I don't like horizontal surfaces perfect because I know they just collect stuff. So just being able, especially hitting stuff, like I hate looking for stuff. That's my win. I don't like looking for stuff, right? So having things organized and in its home and in a place, and if it doesn't have a home, chuck it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. So that's one of my wins. I got another one I'm going through next week. It's got like some medals and things like that I've earned, and I had like old CDs, and I was like, I don't even listen to CDs anymore. They don't even make computers with CD players anymore. Like,
so
why am I still holding on to this stuff?
So I want to ask you a question. I'm gonna let you continue as well, but I want to ask you a question on that. Why this is your win? Good job, by the way. Why would you say, for the benefit of anybody that might be listening, and for me and Majida as well, why would you say that clearing out space in your life is a win? Why is that a win?
Excellent question. That is a win because, as we know, seasons change. And I could use a weather metaphor, but it's to make room for new growth, for new opportunities, for the things that are coming. You holding on to old stuff, it's just cluttering your space and not creating new room, new space for new things that are coming to you. So
yeah.
All of the fruits have to fall off the tree before new fruits can be produced.
Yeah. Like we're limitless. We're limitless, but you have a capacity. Even if it's just what you acknowledge as your own capacity, you have a capacity, and most of us live at capacity. You know what I'm saying? And so I can get that. If my capacity is a room that's full of this much stuff, and I walk around all the time with that much stuff, it would make sense that when I choose one day to get rid of half of it, like I'm gonna feel that. I'm gonna feel the difference. I'm gonna feel lighter. I'm gonna feel it. That's just the best way to put that. So yeah, I can definitely see.
Absolutely. No, it's something that we should. I think, and I don't like to use should, but I say something that I like to make a habit out of is regularly clearing out space to make room for the next, for what's to come. Is building that into your lifestyle and your budget, right? That's a good one. Hey, what's going on, Facebook user? Hey, for those that are joining us on Facebook, on YouTube, welcome and thanks for the show. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, that's my win, man. Clearing out space, because I know that there's some opportunities that are coming to me, and it's been a month of that. Just like making room and moving around, realizing
preparing the space for what is to come.
Win.
Yeah, preparing the space for what is to come. I was listening to something a while ago, and the lady wanted a relationship. She wanted a spouse in her life.
Yeah,
I muted myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
I was like,
but she the lady that she was talking to was like, look, clear a spot out in the garage. Like, you got a 2-car garage, and one of the spots you got boxes sitting all over the place. Like, clear a spot out in the garage. I mean, not in the garage, in the closet. Like, the closet is big enough for a husband and wife, but you got your stuff all over the place. Clear out one side of the garage, one side of the closet to prepare space for what you want to come. You know what I mean? So kind of the same thing. So I can definitely see the benefit in putting that in the win category, executing that and putting it in the win category. 100%. Small things, keep it simple. That's what this is about. That's what you just said. Majida, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I had a realization this week that like I had been stressed, and I didn't acknowledge it for a long time. So once I acknowledged it, or I had, things kind of came to a head, if you will, and I had to deal with it head on and to some degree resolve it, it's like, oh, that's why I haven't been myself. So that was a win for me, just being able to acknowledge and recognize that I had been under stress and it was impacting me in a lot of ways, like physically, like my body was out of whack. Mentally, I didn't have clarity. Physically, I wasn't moving at the pace that I know that I could move. And I didn't, until I had to kind of face something head on, I didn't recognize that that was what was affecting me and stressing me. And now that I have some resolution to that situation, I feel I feel better. like I'm like this is where where have you been, right? Like I haven't recognized myself, to some degree the last couple months. Just I pulled an all-nighter, like literally, like just worked. I woke up one morning and worked all day long through the night until the next day. And of course I crashed the following night. But I was like, I haven't pulled an all-nighter in a while, right? Like,
did you find joy in that?
Huh?
Did you find some joy in that?
Well, kind of back to the question of capacity. Like, it's something that I can do, right? And I enjoy getting things done. And I feel like things have been piling up because I haven't had the mental clarity to like get things right. I've just been kind of like doing not the bare minimum because like that's just not who I am, but like I've been settling for less than my best. And it wasn't like intentionally, but because of other stressors, I was letting that impact my productivity. And so now I'm like, I'm back. All right. So I'm ready to like it's crazy. And I have to give credit to my coach, because I shared something with him and he gave me some advice that I had not considered. And so shout out to Coach Tyrus Shivers. Um, yeah, he definitely helped me to gain some clarity, and his perspective was one I hadn't considered. So for people that are out there, like if you're dealing with something on your own, um, find help, talk to somebody, right? Like just simply having that conversation gave me a different perspective, so that I could at least, right, like it was just, it was uncomfortable, and I hadn't considered the perspective that he gave me, but when I did, I'm like, all right, well, let me try it, right? So
that's an option.
Yeah, right. Like it
Like,
wasn't
okay, that's an option
in my mind an option. And sometimes, right, well, this is something one of my mentors, John, says all the time is you can't. He doesn't say it this way, but same idea is that you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And so having somebody outside the frame assess the situation from an objective perspective, because I don't want to make the decision off of some emotional, subjective, like I don't feel like this is right type deal. But somebody outside to say, no, that ain't right. Oh, okay. Well, so all right, let me address it. Let me gain some, get some clarity on it and deal with it. And like literally, like I was a person, I don't like stuff that's unresolved, and it like affects me viscerally because one, I want to maintain my integrity. Two, I want to have a good rapport with people, right? So if things get uncomfortable, like I don't like thinking that I've done anything to hurt them or intentionally did anything to cheat them or anything like that. And so um that's why I had just, kind of accepted the circumstance and, kind of felt defeated. Like I didn't really have any other options until somebody gave me another option. I was just like, oh. And, just me being me, I was able to reach out to somebody else and get a second perspective, which supported the first perspective. So I'm like, all right, this ain't just me and my feelings about it. This is really, legitimately something that I can contest, if you will. So
quick question, Bakar.
Oh man, I was about to get in on this. Go ahead, Maurice.
Well, you can, but I want to ask you because I would like to share too. WDWL. This is something we used to do all the time back in sales. We run across something interesting or something that has the potential to hold value. WDWL. What did we learn? What did we learn from what Majida just shared? Anything?
I learned get help when you feel stuck.
Yeah.
That's I think we could tie that into what we're talking about tonight. But it's funny because when you gave that analogy of, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. I was having a conversation with just yesterday actually about like our choices and how we may feel and like really feel, emphasis on the emotion. Uh-oh. How we can feel.
Y'all better chill out. This is a new Majida y'all dealing with. Sorry about that, bro. Go ahead.
All good. But no, how we can feel as if we don't have choices when faced with difficult choices, right? With difficult opportunities, we may look at it and be like, oh man, this feels like a hard choice and that I don't have any other options. But I was attempting to share from an out of the frame objective perspective, which, oftentimes doesn't hit all of the emotions and heartstrings like you need to with people. So we're going to talk about a little bit of that tonight about being objective. We'll call that the expert and an influencer who's like the emotional, but we'll get into that later. But it was, it's interesting when you're sharing a perspective like that, and from inside the frame, it's just like, I just want somebody to acknowledge my struggle first and foremost. And it'd be difficult to hear anything else until that acknowledgement. I'm glad you did that, Maurice. I was checking that for your name. I literally had the thought a couple minutes ago. I was just like, one of these names is different. But anyway, let me get off my tangent. But no, I was having a conversation about like choices and how whether we want to believe it or not, we always have a choice. We always have more than one choice. People may present one option and we feel like, oh, I have to do this or else. And I think especially with people who are good with getting things done, they look at it as like, this is all I could do until something else is pointed out. It was like, well, you could do it another way. And you can do it another way. You can make a different choice and a different choice and a different choice. Now, those choices might not give you the greatest outcomes. And in your mind, it's the only direction. Like for you, Majida, I know that there are some things, especially having children, is like, I don't have a choice. Like I can't tell there are plenty of people who do make that choice to neglect their children all the time. I'm not saying it's the choice that you want to make, but it's still always a choice, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things you wrestle at. It's less of, do I have a choice or not, but what is it that I value?
Yeah.
For you may have felt like, man, I don't have a choice in this because to preserve the relationship, right? Yeah. Your choice was based on the relationship, but you weren't prioritizing self in that regard. And that's the thing. We always had a choice to take care of self and take care of self in a variety of different ways. We also can make the choice to prioritize others over ourselves.
Yeah.
But if nothing else, just from that, like never, what did I learn? I learned that you always have options. And, we talk about in entrepreneurship to be able, as one of the avenues to be able to create more options for you and more opportunities for you. So that'll kind of, I think that might come back up. What about you, Maurice?
Speaking of cameras, which y'all are not directly speaking about cameras, but you're speaking about perspective and not being able to see the frame unless you're in the lens. And Ricard, you gave a camera terminology. I'm gonna speak about exposure. I'm gonna speak about another camera technology, right? Speak about when dealing with cameras, right? So, and I'm piggybacking on what Majida said is right just now as far as my WDWL. What did I learn from what she just shared? Exposure to others. I've been kind of thinking about that all week, right? One of my issues that I have on my entrepreneurial journey that I feel like I'm guilty of a lot of the times is thinking too small. And it's like, how do I get myself out of that? How do I get myself out of that? And to me, there's only one way to get yourself out of that. And that's exposure to something different, exposure to something bigger. Going back to that word perspective, exposure to something different gives you a different perspective. A different perspective gives you more options and gives you more choices. So all of this stuff definitely ties in. When you're having an issue, right? Expose it to somebody else, right? Just being exposed. And exposure is kind of one of the things that we're gonna get into tonight in our conversation that we're gonna talk about. But yeah, just exposing yourself, your issues to others, right? And exposing yourself to others in a way to get help, like with your problems, but also in a way to grow, to overcome your own limitations, right? A lot of the times the child will do the same thing as the parent does as far as work, right? And that's whether the father was a baker or whether he was a military guy or whether he was some, you know what I mean, some mega ultra successful people, right? Like exposure. I was listening to Shaquille O'Neal talk about one of the first people that put him on to game was Magic Johnson, right? Like, I mean, if I had a chance to be around Magic Johnson, I might get something from it too, right? So, but it ain't like I can't be around Magic Johnson. It's just like, you know, that it just talking about the exposure piece, finding a way to be able to get around bigger minds and bigger thoughts and bigger influences. And this internet that we all got, access to right now gives all of us the ability to be able to do that. Like, we're not very, very far away from anybody. we really not, right? So yeah, definitely exposure. So
yeah, I think that's key. That's huge in terms of, I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, is like, you may have this grand vision, but you're in an environment that that's not exposing you to where you want to go, right? Like, you've never been where you want to go. You don't know anybody who's been where you want to go. And so you don't know how to get there. You need that guidance. And so absolutely expose. Like I said, the coach that I did, right? Like, he's much more direct, and you know what I mean? Like, it was plain and simple to him. And so just being around somebody who thinks and sees things differently allowed me to be able to adopt a different perspective, right? Consider different an alternative. So yeah, that's huge. And I think that's something that's really important about the entrepreneurial journey, is exposure is it's everything, right? Like, something
that's
that
a valuable position.
It was a sermon that I was listening to on Sunday, and the pastor he said, you can't be faithful alone. So, like, any journey in life, like, requires other people to hold you accountable, to keep you on track, to help to move you forward. And I think when we talk about building wealth, even, right, like, wealth is really the relationships. You've heard your network determines your net worth, right? Like, people are the real currency, and we've been conditioned to believe that, like, money's the currency and that's the most important, and you got to work and get this money. Whereas you can get indoors that money can't get you in if you have exposure to the right people. You have connections or a network that can offer you an opportunity. And so I think we need to, maybe invest more in people than in things.
Yep.
Okay.
So let me share real quick how I'm doing, since ain't neither one of y'all asked me.
I actually did. Oh, get him. That's my co-host. That's my sister. We like twins. Get him.
I was really gonna say, let me go ahead and share mine so we can get into the conversation, because like my how I'm doing is basically around exposure. That's kind of like my big win this past week. So like I've already been talking about, like, okay, so y'all know what I'm doing on YouTube, or maybe you don't know what I'm doing on YouTube, but right. So I do my thing on YouTube, but I've been thinking that I need to bring in some different energy. Like, see, I deal with a lot of mental blocks as far as YouTube, on a lot of different subjects that affect my YouTube. And one of the things or the conclusions that I'm starting to come to, I'm like at a 9. If 10 is you're at a concrete conclusion, I'm at like a 9, right, of understanding that it's time for me to expose myself to some other energy and bring that in on my YouTube channel, right? So in the last couple of weeks, y'all have heard me talking about working with an editor to help me edit my videos, right? That's a form of bringing in a different energy on my channel. I hooked up with Kay. I hooked up with a coach. I hired a coach for the next 60 days. Okay. And I'm really, really excited about it. I really am. I was a little bit hesitant at first, not so much because of who the coach is, but because I think it's just a pride thing. But on the same note, I ain't too proud to admit that.
Pride,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
That's a Cole song.
Hey.
Shout out to J. Cole on that new album. Pride is the devil.
Okay.
Gotta check that out. It's a good song.
Hey. Let's just let them,
Go ahead. Share your story.
You don't want him to retract. Go back.
But yeah, I think it was just a pride thing, you know what I mean? But immediately, as soon as we worked out what we're gonna work out, and I was presented with what the coach wanted to help me with, and I was I think it was kind of some of the words that they said as well. They was like, listen, I saw your goals, I know your goals, I can get you there. And it's like, all right, boom, how you say no to that? You know what I mean? How you say no to that, right? So in addition to already knowing that I need to bring in some other energy anyway, you know what I mean? So I'm excited about that. I'm excited. I don't really have a whole lot of expectations from it. What I do expect from it is just bringing in a different energy to my channel. So my expectations is very low at that in my mind. Like if you talk to somebody else on a regular basis, their energy is gonna rub off on you. So the only thing I expect out of that is what's supposed to happen out of that. We gonna speak, and some of the energy is gonna come out on my videos, right? But then also, I've been going through this affiliate product that I signed up for. I actually bought an affiliate product, and I don't want to get off too far on, you know what I mean, speaking in German and everybody else speaks English. But I nowadays, I don't know if you guys, anybody listening to this knows this or not, but nowadays, if you want to, you can sell any product that you decide to. There's any product on the market, you can sell it. They all have affiliate programs, and everybody knows what that is, I'm sure. But if you don't know what that is and you're listening to this right now, companies that produce products typically advertise through generally in the old school manner, they would spend money on advertising, billboard advertising, TV advertising, radio advertising. Well, to keep it short and sweet, advertisers realized that they could spend a little bit less if instead of spending money on a TV ad, they would pay a commission to an individual that is sharing their product with that individual circle of friends. And if any of those circle of friends buys the product that the individual promoted to them, the individual can get what's called an affiliate commission for referring his friends of his circle of people to that product. So, and every product, every business has, I'm not gonna say everyone, but all of them have affiliate programs that you can sign up for. I don't care what it is.
Word of mouth.
Say it again.
It's paid word of mouth.
It's paid. It's the best way to advertise.
It's
It 100% is. 100%. It 100% is. So I
don't call it that.
My biggest issue with finding an affiliate product to link up with is like my trust. I got trust issues, right? I got trust issues, and this is just like I just don't trust a lot of the products. You know what I mean? But I found one and I actually bought it. It's a product for newbies in my space. My space meaning my audience that I help on YouTube, which is an audience full of truckers. But it's mainly for helping newbies get acquainted with the trucking industry. Okay. And I'm really excited about this product. It's $47. I bought it. My objective when I bought it was to buy it for $47. It got a 60-day return policy. I was going to go through it and then return it. You know what I mean? After I go through it. But I'm like, I'm not going to, I don't really see a need in returning it. You know what I mean? Like it's worth what they charging for it. It really is. And I can't promote an affiliate product unless I believe in it. So this going through the product and vetting it out myself, like it's like I feel good. I haven't finished going through it yet. I only went through probably a 10th of it yet, and it's chock full of information, and I'm learning stuff from it as a 5-year person that's been in trucking. So it's expanding my knowledge, it's giving me content ideas to create on YouTube, and it's solidifying that this is a good product to promote to other people that's looking to get acquainted with the trucking industry. So that's a huge win for me, all three of those, because I'm like pretty much sold. Not pretty much, I'm sold on promoting this affiliate product. You know what I mean? And it'll pay me $27. Go ahead.
So go ahead, finish your thought. I just want to ask a question to y'all.
I was just gonna say, you know what I mean? I'll get paid 50% commission. The product is a $47 product, but even more so than that, I wanted to make sure the product offers, it gives the person the value that they need for what they spend in. So feeling really good about finding that product and promoting it to my audience, not so I can make money, but so it can help people, because it really will help people. And also feeling really, really excited about hooking up with a coach. Also really feeling really excited about exposing myself to some different energy, and about to bring in some different energy on my channel. Like having a coach, man, like just like you said, Majid, I can have somebody, if nothing else comes from our relationship, I got somebody that for the next 60 days can stand back off of my situation and objectively evaluate what I'm doing. So it's like I said, I expect good things to come from that. My expectation is not high, but it's just that I expect something's good gonna come from that. 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's interesting too. You bring up coaching, because I feel like I've been in the off season for the last month, and I'm really like, I don't know what season it is. I'm working on what my seasons are, but got some coaching around me. But that definitely something that I know I'm looking into doing more of, for the back half of the year.
Yeah.
But I did have a question, just a show of hands, whatever. How many of us here have affiliate partners or products or companies that we work with right now?
You guys talking about between me and Majida?
Yeah, just for those in here. Like, how many y'all got affiliates?
Yeah.
Any affiliates? No, you don't have any affiliates. I asked that question because I know that one of the spaces that we work in.
Okay, so somewhat, but continue.
Okay. Oh, and I'm thinking about that, like the things that you're aligned with, right? Like, so for you, whatever this product is, it aligns with your values. I know for me, earlier this year when I was starting my coaching business, I found some financial resources that help to cover one area of what I do in coaching. And I was like, oh man, no, I got to sign up for that. And it's already more than paid for itself. It's already more than paid for itself in just the time. I was like, man, that was a good decision, right? It's something that I'm excited to share with people on one hand, and actually have somebody else bring up a question, an issue. And I'm just like, so, like with legal matters, it's like, well, I made that decision a year ago. I knew that was going to be like an affiliate, because it's one of those foundational lifestyle things I think is really valuable to people. So like being aligned with the right solutions,
products.
We'll just call them products, services, solutions, I think is really, really valuable, 100%. Especially for influencers, experts, entrepreneurs, because it can add to, the value that you already bring in your lane. But then also, I think one of the things, it can really, really help strengthen your relationships, with those who have other audiences. Say, oh man, well, hey, if I had questions about ABC, I've had people approach me in 3 different lanes, right? About coaching, about finances, because I have a background in that, and even about legal matters, because they needed some help starting their business. And I was like, oh, cool, check. I can support you in those areas, but I'm, the primary area is what I do coaching. But through those networks, I'm not doing the work all the time, right? Through those networks, I'm able to connect them to other people in other networks to get the information where I can stay focused on in my lane as well. So word of encouragement is like, don't be afraid of affiliate. Just work with the ones that work for you.
I got a question for you real quick on that. Yeah. I don't want to create a whole nother podcast subject with this, right? Because we got to get into our subject tonight.
We'll tie it back.
Do you think that most people, the average person, the average affiliate vets who they're an affiliate for? Like, I've had plenty of suggestions along the way to just find a product and promote it. Just find a product that will be helpful to your audience and promote it. I don't really hear I hear some people putting emphasis on, actually buy the product and make sure it is what you think it is. You know what I'm saying? Because go ahead.
I'm gonna say the most successful people are doing that.
I would think so.
The most successful people are aligning themselves. And I just think about YouTube videos that I've watched, and like now they're running ads in the middle of their videos, right? It's not even like cut for an ad. It's like,
it's embedded. It's embedded in the video.
In what they do, right? They just take it, clip it, cut it in, you know, and add it to what they're doing. And whether you click on it or not, it seems to align with what they're doing. So, you know, whether it's like VPN services or, you know, Nutri-Grain bars or something like that. Like I see little things that people are doing. It's really cool. That I imagine could really, really add value to what they do. But it's not like just anything. And I think
that's the really, suggestion really, in the community. So if you're in the affiliate marketing community and you're listening at, you know, the general affiliate marketing advice, half of it will suggest like they just leave out that part. It's like, just find something. They just leave out the part of vetting the product, checking on the product, seeing what it actually is, going through it yourself. They just leave all that out. It's just like, find something and promote it. And I always had I have a difficult time doing that. Like, even if it's just,
to me, that don't sound like smart brand management.
But you know what, man?
That's
it's
what
not.
A brand manager might say.
I would say that it's not, but it's a lot of big names that's doing just that. What I just now said. It's a lot of people that you would look at and you would say, I mean, like, they ain't even supposed to get this successful doing that. Like, it's a lot of people that have achieved success, and they'll tell you, yo, I don't know what that product is. I don't know what it is.
They're doing something else for they're doing something else for their audience.
Yeah.
Right. I imagine.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, like, they're doing something more for their audience.
Anyway. Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
However, I have read that those strategies for the companies who are promoting through influencers, it's like, just get it out there, because the more visibility, the more familiar people are going to become with it. And the more familiar people are with it, the more likely they are to buy it. Period. Just off of familiarity alone. And we're going to talk about that, because we're talking about, who do you trust? Right? The influencers that you see and know all the time, or the experts working behind the scenes with all of the knowledge and suppose all of the experience. Who do you love? Are you sure? So tell us a little bit about the background.
I was gonna let you have that one, bro. You just gonna broke out and start singing.
Who do you trust?
All right. Let's bring it back.
So tell us about this story.
You know what? Before I start on it, I wish I would have had a great summary of it. I don't. I don't. Right? Did you familiarize yourself with any of the story?
I did. Very intriguing.
Did you, Majida? I thought it was interesting too. Did you, Majida? Did you have a chance to fill yourself in on any of what's going on with that?
With Meet Kev?
With Meet Kevin?
No.
Obviously not. You're like, I don't even know who Meet Kevin is.
I know you mentioned him a few a few days ago.
I got you.
All right, so some homework this week.
It's all good.
Well, I didn't know. Did he share that with us? I was supposed to watch something. I'm sorry. I didn't.
It's all good. It's all good. At this point, it don't even matter, right? At this point. But here's the deal. Here's what we're gonna get into. Here's the conversation we'll get into this week. All right. I'm gonna start off slow, but I want y'all just to follow me here. Okay. So we're gonna talk about Meet Kevin this week. Kevin Pathrath. All right. Again, I wish I had a nice, pretty summary of this situation. Right. I wish I had a nice, pretty summary of this situation so I could read it to you real quick, but I don't. So I'm just gonna try to flip it to you guys right off the cuff. So Kevin Pathrath, I follow Kevin on YouTube. I don't know the guy. Anything I talk about him like I know, but I don't know the guy. I follow him on YouTube. He is somebody that comes from the influencer community, which is one reason why I think this subject is interesting to creative entrepreneurs. All right. He comes from the influencer community. He's a realtor. He's a real estate investor. He's a stock guy, and he has a pretty huge YouTube channel. He has a pretty huge YouTube following, a couple million followers on YouTube, right? He's an influencer. He's definitely an influencer, and he seems to be a pretty successful guy. He's a young guy, 28, 29 years old, right? and he's running for governor right now of California. Okay, so he's going up against Gavin Newsom. He's running against the big dog, right? He's running against somebody that's been in power there, that's been in office there for a while, from what I understand, right? Side note, what the heck is going on in California? That's a side note, though. And anyway, Kevin claims, he said he makes a lot of, first thing is he's a YouTuber. So he's a full-time, now he's a full-time YouTuber, but he's the type of YouTuber, like he ain't like me. Like I release new videos on my channel once or twice or maybe 3 times a week. This guy releases 3 to 4 or 5 videos per day on his channel. Like he's a serious YouTuber. So he makes a lot of content. And if you know anything about YouTubers and their personalities, like one thing YouTubers are infamous for doing is getting intimate and being transparent online, right? Like trying to show the behind the scenes, trying to show the stuff that nobody else is showing, right? So being that that's the type of background that Kevin kind of comes from, he to me, he comes across, he's the transparent guy, okay? But going into this election as the transparent guy, running against the status quo, running against the institution, running against the regime, as they call it. It's like he feels that he's being censored, that he's being like they're afraid of him. He hadn't said it that way, but that's kind of what I get from him, right? Because essentially because he is a person with a voice, but he's also a person that he don't come from a background of politics. Like he would seem to me that he's a politician's worst nightmare. Somebody that feels like they got real solutions, because it ain't that, I ain't gonna say it's not that hard. What government does is difficult, but like some of the stuff that government does, it's like there's an easier way to do it. You get what I'm saying? It's obviously easier. So he's one of those guys. He's like, look, I got a way to deal with this, and this, right? He's got a social following behind him. He has a voice. You can't just censor him and nobody knows him. He could just go on to YouTube and make a YouTube video and put it in front of millions of people the very next day. He was facing a situation where they didn't even want to let him use his YouTube name, which is Meet Kevin. He had to actually sue California to be able to use his name, his name, Meet Kevin, on the ballot. He wanted to go on the ballot as Kevin, Meet Kevin Pathrath, but he had to sue the state of California in order to be able to do that, and he lost. The court case is actually on YouTube. Again, he's a YouTuber. The court case is on YouTube as he's presenting his case to the judge, which is there on Zoom. But as he's presenting his case to the judge, he wants to share his screen. He wants to do all of the little technical stuff that YouTubers know how to do that, like, quote unquote, regular people, they don't know, I ain't really familiar with all of this stuff yet. And it's just interesting watching this back and forth, watching him put a spotlight on some of this opposition that he's facing, and being able to have people behind it. He presented some polls to the judge while he was in court. The polls that he presented wasn't Fox polls. They wasn't CNN polls. They were his Twitter polls. He got that many followers where he can just run his own. He like, yo, I did a poll and 80,000 people responded, and he gave the percentages. This percentage of it is just like a Fox poll, but this is my, like, I bring in my own stuff to the table. Like, I don't need none of y'all stuff. I got all my own stuff. He's like, he done said like he'll match whatever people donate to his campaign. He not planning on taking the governor's salary. He's coming from that world. And again, it seems like somebody that a politician would be afraid of. This subject, this conversation is not about politics. This conversation is really about the power of social influence. This conversation is really about the power that regular individuals have nowadays, as far as I'm concerned. Bakar and Majida, y'all might have got something else from this whole situation. I'll definitely let you chime in just a few seconds. But from me, what I get from this is this is really a situation that should give hope to the creative entrepreneur that might not see a way out. Like, I'm bringing it right back to that point where I started from, right? Because seeing this what you would perceive, nobody knows, it's the internet, we don't really know, but what you would perceive as a grassroots guy, you get what I'm saying, to just put up this type of fight, whether he wins or loses. To me, I'm expecting him to lose, but it's just interesting to watch the fight, man. It really is. You know what I'm saying?
And I just want to, because when you said earlier about somebody who doesn't have a background in politics, we just had a president who did not have a background in politics. So, like, it's possible. Like, if he gave permission for anybody to be able to achieve anything, right? We thought Obama, right? But, like, Obama had the education, right? He had the experience, like, all that stuff. So, like,
and had
on
to
paper, Obama looked better. And, right, so we thought, okay, anything's possible. But then when Trump won, it was like, yo, like, anybody can achieve anything. So we shouldn't even be surprised anymore. But to that point, though, I think there's a certain dynamic, right? There's people who listen to YouTubers and there's people who watch the news, right? You know,
Yeah.
and so that's that. You know, I'm following people, I'm getting to know them, I'm building a relationship with them, right? Or I'm engaging with them. So, like, I'm more willing to trust that person versus somebody who's on CNN, Fox, or NBC. I don't know them. I don't have a personal relationship with them. And maybe they got a Twitter page or a YouTube page, but, like, I don't know their personal life. I don't know their history. I don't know their background. And so I'm not as connected to that person. And I think it speaks to, even if we go back, if we're not even talking about entrepreneurship, it's something that we do naturally, right? Like, we could all be struggling financially, but because we're family and because our families, right, we've seen, right, we trust our parents, our network that we grew up in. We trust them before we trust some outsider. But because now in this technology age, this age of information, because we now have access to people outside of our circle who we can learn from and follow and get to know them before we trust them, now we can allow ourselves to see things from a different perspective, to, you know, challenge the status quo, to go down the beaten path.
Untraditional, non-traditional, whatever. Yeah.
Like, we give ourselves that permission because we've connected with somebody who's done it and we know their history, right? We know somebody like an Eric Thomas who was, you know, sleeping in abandoned buildings and eating out of trash cans and was homeless as a teenager, and he became the number one motivational speaker in the world. Like, you have somebody like that, and it's like, well, if he can do it, I can do it, right? But you may not have had anybody in your circle who you were able to see. Right, growing up, we didn't have this access to information, this exposure, like you talked about earlier.
Yeah,
we on the cusp. We are on the cusp,
and so things are changing, and I think that also speaks to, you know, I don't like to get into politics, but, like, it speaks to why, like, we might think that the government is slow to change. No, they are fully aware of the impact of social media and the social influence, and they're trying to get right. Because if we can encourage and teach people how to do for themselves, what do we need government for?
Yeah.
Ooh, that scares government.
Right. Like, I'm not an anarchist. I do believe in having certain systems and protections in place, right? But if we don't, we a lot of people are conditioned and have a mindset for somebody to take care of them. And the government offers, we're going to take care of you. We're going to send you stimulus checks. We're going to send you your tax refund in advance in the form of your child tax credit. We're going to send you that every month, right? Because they want influence. They want to be able to influence people with their pockets.
Uh-huh.
And that's how most people are conditioned, right? They feed me, they taking care of me. That's who I'm going to listen to. That's who I'm going to follow. But when you have a value system that's not attached to money, if I have relationships, that's my wealth, that's my currency. I don't need your money because my community is going to take care of me. My network's going to take care of me. So it's a totally different perspective. And yeah, we're in that age where, like, you know, it's
what you talk about. That's all, man. I feel like that's all I want to share with people is that, like, your community, your network is is your value. You are valued. You as a person are valued. And just like you mentioned with politicians, like it's more important nowadays to have a presence in social media than it is necessarily to have, a bunch of letters behind your name or a bunch of degrees, right?
I understand the point that you're making.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's more important to be visible and well known because you have an audience, a captive audience, right? And that captive audience, you can move and influence. Like the fact that we have this term influencer in this age, like what did we call them before? They were influencers, celebrities. That's a good. They were celebrities, right? And now that I guess point of access of that influence is distributed, right? It's being more widely distributed to more people.
Of wealth and what government wants
that. Well, I think this is a really, really interesting case because, yes, it seems like the old ways are always going to resist the change.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's worked so well for the old. It's worked so well for the old. Like, hey, when I rose to power, I'm gonna keep doing the things that got me in that position. But when I see the tides of influence and power shifting, like you're gonna naturally, I think naturally you're gonna want to resist it, unless you're the type of person who embraces change and embraces the especially youthful social movements. Like, oh no, man, let these children come do what they want to do. Like, if you think from the point of view of a parent, do you want to spend the rest of your life raising your children, or do you want to empower them to? I don't want to say usurp you. That's a big word, right? But to overthrow
a big little word,
right? Do you want to empower your children not to overthrow you, but ultimately to be self-sufficient and to be able to run their own lives sooner?
Yes.
I feel like government, I feel like the political landscape often overlooks that part. Like young people don't know enough. But like young people in their 20s and 30s, like we're the ones who have, I think, the most at our hands. We are in our prime. It's like we know enough of the old to be able to implement and see what isn't working, to be able to take from the new, because we're raising them to figure out, man, what do they need, and what is, how can we use that as information to inform what we do forward. And like, man, I love when young people like that, again, let them get in there and mess up. Let them get them in there so we can see something. Let them mess up differently than we messed up in the past. Like, can our recessions be about something different than what it was? You know what I'm saying? Like, can it not be? And I'm not like the market's going to go up and down, whatever. But like, can we get some new voices, some new solutions in there, and let us mess those up forward? Like, let's fail those forward faster. Mm-hmm. Because I really believe without just a rapid embrace and change, yes, it's going to cause instability. Right. And maybe in the last few years, this hasn't been a time where we needed instability. All right. But I would say with the president that we previously had, it's created a lot of activity in positive ways. It's created some negative activity as well, but I think it's generated a lot of positive activity where people realize. And then, the pandemic just kind of brought it all together. Like, hey, we need to come together around some new solutions. Man, let these new reset. Let's reset everything that was before. Throw it away. Start over.
How about this? I got something else I want to play for y'all real quick as well. This is a little short video, but I mean, I kind of got from this video, which is
get it set down.
Say what?
Shut down.
No, we good. From this video, I kind of got a common theme. I got the takeaway from me with this Kevin Pathras situation and the video that I'm about to show you were kind of the same. So I'm gonna cut my lights off here. That's why I cut it off, because I'm just gonna push play right here, and hopefully y'all can see it and hear it. Okay.
I don't know about you, but I'm deeply concerned with how divided America is today. And I think there are two people that can help us unify America, with one of them being former President Barack Obama and the other being, yes, former President Donald J. Trump. And this is why I'm putting $5 million of my own money, $2.5 million to President Obama, $2.5 million to President Trump, to agree to do a long-form interview to discuss ideas with only one thing in mind: to help unify America. Having said that, President Obama, President Trump, let me address why I think you ought to consider doing this. Number one, I think if we were to look at America as a left wing and a right wing, I think the voice...
Okay, I'll stop it right there, because the point of me showing that video to y'all is not what he's talking about, because this ain't about making this a political conversation. For me, the common thread in both of these situations, and again, you know, I would like everybody to get whatever they can from this. For me, the common thread out of both of these is another regular guy talking to the freaking president, talking to the president, and talking to two ex-presidents. We'll say talking to two ex-presidents.
Can we qualify that regular guy?
Well, when I say a regular, well, Patrick Bet David is a hectamillionaire. He's you know what I mean. He's an 8-figure guy, a 9-figure guy, right? 7, 8. Now, yeah, he's a 9-figure guy, definitely.
9 figures billion, right?
Let me see. Seven is a million. 8 would be.
No, that's hundreds of millions.
Say what?
9 figures is hundreds of millions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 10 is a billion.
Okay, whatever.
7 is a million.
Got
8
it.
would gotcha. I'm sorry. This is money. We need to stop talking about that for a second. Make sure we got these zeros. Count these zeros. Right.
Let's qualify this.
But I mean, I would refer to him as an. I mean, because again, I mean, he's just an average grassroots guy
who
grew
his wealth through network marketing business, right? Who started his own business and businesses. Grew into, I don't think he's a politician.
No,
but
he's
not politician, but has a large following, right? Because he grew a business through developing a following and people who, you know, follow not only his philosophies but his, you know, his business and things like that. So he is an influencer in that regard.
Oh, we know that. We know that.
I don't want to disqualify, but like, he is somebody who's established and created a legacy of influence.
Yeah, but guess what though? You're 100% right, by the way, in that.
So we qualify. My question is, why would anybody listen to him? Why that's what I want to qualify. Why would anybody listen to him first and foremost as a regular guy?
Well, before we that's
he's a person. He's an influencer first.
That's a great question.
He's an influencer and a businessman, and he's throwing his own money behind his message, which is, you know, a slight flex for those who like, hey, I'm putting 5 million of my own. Like that's not regular people stuff.
Yeah, politicians don't even do that.
I get the point that you're making, but I'm going in a different way with it. And this is the part where I love our conversations, because we get to give perspective. You get what I'm saying? I'm saying he's a regular guy because he came from where everybody else came from. He didn't start off from wealth. Whatever he built it through doing something that any of us can do. You know what I mean? Like, he came from a place that's a lot harder and tougher than a lot of us come from. I know I never lived in a place similar to Iran. I never lived in a German concentration camp. I never came from none of that stuff. You get what I'm saying? So when I say he's a regular guy, I mean, he came up just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? He got his power through acting. He didn't get it through inheritance. He didn't get it because somebody handed it to him. Not that I know. It's the internet. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Anything can be made to look another way. But that's what I mean by a regular guy. And I'm gonna let you finish as well. For me, the point in that, it's a great question to ask, why would anybody listen to him? But like, just the fact that that video will likely get in front of Donald Trump and Barack Obama. It's likely that video will get in front of Barack Obama and Donald Trump. So here's the question. Here's the main question. Going back to that individual that may be involved in some creative endeavor that they don't see any hope out of. They don't see no way out of, or they may not even see the benefit in continuing to go. We're living in some special times right now. We're in a time where in my opinion, like, everybody has different opinions on history. right? Okay, some people feel like we're repeating things, and some people feel like we really are at the pinnacle of human civilization right now. I don't know of another time where a so-called quote unquote regular person could put out a regular message. Patrick Bet David's message may not be regular, but mine is. Mine is, my YouTube message is regular. Yours is, Majita's is. We doing something that anybody can do. So the question is, to me, the big question is, when have we ever been in a time that a regular individual can just say, you know what? I got an idea that I think is intriguing and good for others, and they can just put it out there and it moves, it translates into power. Because that's what social influence turns into. It turns into power.
That's why the history.
I would agree.
Never before in human history has any single individual have been able to create the waves of influence that we see. Like it's literally like.
Now keep in mind. Watch this. There have been people that have spread great ideas without social media, before social media, your Gandhis, your Martin Luther Kings and things of that. But those are big messages. My point in this, right, I want to bring this home to the individual that is a creative entrepreneur right now. Like, okay, how can I use this? So, like, I'm talking about trucking. I'm not talking about, you know what I mean, changing the world, putting $5 million up for Obama. And I mean, that's good stuff. We need that too. But we living in a time right now that if you enjoy baking cakes, you can put that out. What I'm talking about here is something anybody can do. That's what I'm trying to bring this to here. This is something anybody can do. Patrick Bet-David is where he is now. Kevin Pathrath is where he is now. But the reason I refer to them as regular people is because I believe they started like me and you. They just started talking about something that made sense to me, that was important to them. And to me right now, if you're in this economy right now, struggling with income, struggling with money, struggling with identity, struggling with any of these things, like feeling hopeless, wanting to move forward and don't really see a way how, or don't really know if it's worth it to continue, like maybe I should just hang up my dream. Like, we living in some special times right now. And in my opinion, never have we been living in a time where the individual had, like, that's, to me, I'm saying, so again, social influence, that's power. Listen to the words. It turns into power. What is power? Power breaks down, without looking it up. If you want to look it up, you can, but I would say power breaks down into ability. Power breaks down into force. Power is energy. So like we talking about what generates, what all of this stuff starts from. That's kind of what I want to bring this conversation to here, man, because again, I Patrick Bet-David is where he is, but hey, if you see a man on top of the mountain, he didn't fall there. He had to climb. So like, again, like, anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. Your message don't have to be to save billions or to save the world. It can just be to help a few people. Any of y'all thoughts on that?
I think the point in that is that we all have a voice, right? We all have a unique purpose. And there's this quote that says the most important days in your life are, one, the day you were born, and two, the day you find out why. And so connecting people to purpose in life, right? Because we're not taught you were born for a purpose, right? Like, don't no child come up, right? Unless you're intentional about that. But like, they don't educate you in school about your purpose and what you're, finding your strength and your gifts. And like that ain't the conversations that we have traditionally with children. Right. And to Car's point earlier about how children naturally come into this world with curiosity, without fear, right? Like they have a certain mindset. And I think they say from the time a child's born to age 7, they're in what's called like this theta state, where like they can absorb so much. They can learn multiple languages. They can learn whatever you right. And Jim Rohn says it. Children don't lack. They don't lack in curiosity. They don't lack in ability. They just lack a teacher. And so if the goal is to teach people that they have a voice, that they have value, that they have purpose, we could do that. But why don't we? Because it's more beneficial to train people to become an employee, to train people to work for a certain economy or system that benefits the status quo, that benefits a
The
certain
system.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the what is it? That's where the rubber meets the road in terms of government versus right. Like we could educate, right? Our school systems today. What are we preparing our children for?
To be a cog in a wheel.
Right. If the goal is to prepare them for the future, then you need to encourage the what's that I word? Innovation and curiosity and questions and right.
But more
Children,
than encourage them, you got to equip them with it. And
absolutely.
one of the things I think influencers can do differently than politicians is show better than they tell.
I would agree.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like they're telling it, but they're showing, and that's what's attractive to the generation, right? I mean, I think that's what's always been attractive. It's more prevalent, it's more visible, it's more widespread. Showing, like what we're doing right now, is doing our best to show and not just tell. Right, show and share through our experiences that, hey, man, the journey looks like, one day I got a painting on the wall, the next is a map. Like, what does that mean? Right? It just means I flipped the journey around. You know what I mean? I flipped the camera around, wanted to show something different. We're growing, right? I went from, small lens to widescreen. Why? Because I invested in myself. Like, hey, why does that look different, right? Maurice, he got the microphone, and Majida had the headphones. You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
You said you lost what?
Her cord. But what does all that mean? Is children always had that curiosity, and they do more of what's modeled for them than what's told to them. Period.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Period. Politicians and business owners, they know that, man. You can influence a person by what you show, right? Hey, this is what the experience is going to look like. Okay, I'm going to go check it out. Until you get there and be like, oh, this is what I'm signed up for. And then oh man, I don't have a choice because now I'm dependent. Right? That's the trick. But now it's like people aren't falling for the trick no more. We've seen it, we've exposed it, right? It's exposed. If you haven't figured out what the trick is, keep showing up and we'll expose it for you. Expose you to what the trick look like. But people are being more and more empowered because they can find the voices that resonate with them better than any generation before us. Better than any generation before us. You can simply seek out what you desire and follow it. Follow it, subscribe to it.
Whatever or whoever it may be.
Yep.
Whether it's trucking, finance, whatever, you can go out and find it.
You can follow Barack Obama. Like you can follow, and I don't want to make this political, but again, I'm just bringing up high profile people. Like you can get around those people. Like you can, being connected.
And here's the old principle when it comes to business, but it's not just business. It's in life in general. Is people will invest with, people will buy from, as they say in business, those who they know, like, and trust. When it comes to politicians, it's much of the same. Hey, who do you know, like, and trust? Right? You may not know enough about their issues and their stances, and you know what? They could flip-flop on you as soon as they get elected. But what's going to get them elected? That people know them, like them, trust them. Right? And that's all the influencers are really, 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 really good at. I'm not going to say that's all. That's one of the things influencers are really, really good at, is exposing themselves so that people know, like, and trust them. So for someone like me, Kevin, and he's got a following because people feel like they know him, they like him, they trust him because they can go look at the evidence.
Yeah.
They can literally go look at the evidence. How many of your politicians, how many of your elected officials can you go check out
They house.
Enough evidence on them to say, "Oh, this is what they're about."
Here's the term. Here's the term you're searching for. I'm gonna let you this term. How many? Oh, this is a bomb. How many politicians really got the social proof?
Mm.
How many of them like influencers? Like if you're a smart influencer, you got to show up. You got to bring your receipts. It's a part of who you are. You're like, I ain't even showing up without some proof. So yeah,
and it's been like that. Like a lot of politicians will pop up. You be like, who's that? And if you don't follow politics, like that, which again, what's the motivation for everyday people to follow politics? Right. Unless you're dependent on politicians. Like if you aiming to make your way.
I follow politics because it's like funny. It's so funny and interesting, bro. Yeah, 100%. That's my comedy dose for the week. That's my comedy fix for the week.
Where do I get my political news from? The Daily Show. That should tell you all you need to know. 100%. Right?
I agree.
I get it from the Daily Show, right?
Trevor Noah.
even before Trevor.
And that's a good question at the bottom of the screen. How many politicians have the social proof? Again, bringing this home, like to the creative entrepreneur. Like, I don't want to steal David's line. David never sleeps. Y'all familiar with him? I don't want to steal his line, but it's relevant right here. Yo, get you some social proof. Go build something, right? And then don't forget, like, come back and show, like, talk to people about how you do it, right? That's what these influencers are doing.
Hey, that's what Trump had.
Well,
so did Obama.
Discussion. That's another. People still saying Trump ain't got no proof, but that's another discussion.
He was a billionaire.
People saying they ain't even legitimate. I ain't saying I agree with it. There's plenty of question around that. Yeah. Like, he ain't never gave up his business financial records. You got to give up your financial records so people be able to know you're a billionaire.
Here's the social proof. They know him from the show. What's the show?
Yeah. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Celebrity Apprentice.
Oh,
The Apprentice, yeah.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
He's not the one. It's all good. But yeah, they know him from The Apprentice, right? Yeah, that's social proof enough. He's on TV. I'm not. Right? That was his social proof.
Yeah.
Must have something.
I wonder if he did that, like, in preparation for running for president, because like
there's people that say, I've heard that argument that's what he did. Yeah, because he was talking about it then. He was talking about running for president way back at that point.
But see, I think that's a great question, because to your point, how do we know? How do we know that he is who he says he is? How do we know who anybody is who they say they are, unless you spend time with them, right? Like Eric Thomas, I keep bringing him up because there are people around him that you get the opportunity to hear from who he's had an impact on. And so when you see him and you hear, like, he is who he says he is. And he got his mother confirming it. He's got, right, like, there's a lot of people around him who can confirm. They're like, yeah, this dude was homeless. He ran, right, like, all of that stuff. And so when you see his journey, it's just kind of like, dude, like, this guy is freaking like a unicorn, right? Like, in some respects he is, but it also gives you the permission, right? It gives you permission to say, like, what's holding me back? What's stopping me? Because only thing that changed him from being homeless and in abandoned buildings and eating out of trash cans is that he got exposed to a different environment. I mean, got exposed to a different environment and got exposed to different people who along the way helped to guide him in a different direction. I shared this with somebody I met with, I think just last week, and I got it from Jim Rohn, so it's not my material. But I said, you can't change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction. And so often we're looking for the immediate change, right? Right, like I want to be here, right? Like I'm not happy with where I am, and I want to be here. But there's a process to get there. Just change direction, change the circle of people that you're around, change the things that you're listening to, right? And those little tweaks, I promise you, like, I'm not the same person I am today that I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 months ago, right?
I feel like I'm constantly seeking those kind of changes too.
Yeah,
Like,
but it is something that you have to seek. You have to pursue that. You have to desire to want to grow, right? Like,
yeah, and an airplane doesn't fly directly from point A to point B, man. When there's a wind, like they're constantly making small adjustments, in the air in order to hit the mark, to hit the destination. And that to me is, I think that's one of the powers that having the right people, the right social influence and proof can help you to do even better. It's just to quickly make the adjustments. Because like we said, people have value. Information is value. And if you have people around you who can inform you, like me, Kevin, running his polls, he's saying, man, I got the people here to show me the evidence for how to make the adjustment. I'm just saying, hey, here's the evidence that, boom, that's what arguing courts. Here's the evidence that, hey, I put this here. It's gonna, improve my visibility. It's gonna improve my influence. It's gonna have the impact, and it's been done before. So that was really interesting to see that case to be.
Did you look at the court case?
I did, yeah. And it was really. I
thought it was interesting too, man.
So it was a cool thing about that, though, the way he presented. Because he had to defend himself ultimately.
He was sharp. That dude is sharp, man.
The way he presented was in a way unlike what we've maybe seen in the past, because they were in virtual Zoom court, right? So like they were in a room like this, and it's like, well, shoot, let me share my screen and show you how I prepare for this.
I guess, yeah.
Like in the past, how could you just pull up like, oh yeah, let me plug up my hard drive and in the courtroom and say, hey, let me show you the evidence behind, and here's just like let that run. Like that's the future.
Yeah,
that's the future to me.
It's not just the future. It's been done in the past, not in that way, right? Not in that way specifically. But when you think about people who were catalysts for change in this country, they were young people. Martin Luther King was in his 30s.
Oh my gosh.
Malcolm X was in his 30s. Right? Like they were, right? And that was a threat to the establishment, right?
They were us.
Exactly. So understand that. That's not new. Young people have always been the catalyst for change. And if it interferes too much with how things are, and I think like culturally that may be something that we need to embrace. We need to embrace change, right? Like things that are changing are growing. If they're not changing, they're dying, right? Our dollar is dying. I'm just saying, right? Like
so many times we're not interested in that. We're interested in the opposite of that. We're interested in preserving.
Yeah.
Think of let that one marinate. We're interested in preserving, and you preserve a thing that you don't want to die. It's like I don't know if y'all hear what I'm saying when I say that.
I hear what
really
you're
hear
saying.
me.
What you preserve is something that you want not to die. It's not something that you're investing in growing.
Exactly. No, they are two different things. 100%.
You don't go outside and preserve a tree. You 100%. Nurture, feed it, grow it, right? Like, are we feeding our culture? Are we feeding our society? Are we feeding our system? Influencers are.
100%.
And experts can. You may have to shift their model on how they share their expertise. Like, experts are becoming influencers. Like, oh, and you know what? All of us have experience, so are in our own rights and regard.
I love how you bringing that home, bro.
Yes,
I love how you bring that back to the average person.
All of us have experience, and again, this came from coaching. This is not even coaches need coaches, right? But all of us are experts in our own experience, and thus have value to add to the current working system that is our society. Each and every one of us. So back to your influencers, all of us have value that we can bring if we simply, again, turn the mirror in and say, hey, what's in me, I'm going to start to put out. Like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
We're bringing our expertise to the community.
And it's ugly, but we don't care. Ugly as in, if y'all ain't been able to tell. I mean, I'm just gonna address the elephant in the room. Like, there's a lot of stuff we don't have prepared and done. I mean, but again, I mean, you can wait until everything is prepared and done, or you can just, you know what I mean, just go do it. And like, we've been showing up for over a year now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, 100%.
We beautiful people above me who are the doers.
No, you wouldn't be here if you wasn't a doer as well. I can't hang around people that's not doers, bro.
Yeah.
I do differently. I do deliberately. Okay, I promise you. I show up because all I have to do is show up.
That ain't all you got to do.
That's all I got to do here.
That ain't all you do.
I am hosting. But see, hosting comes naturally out of me, right? I just show up to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. Look, my Gina, she's got all of the graphics and stuff like that. When y'all left that up to me, nope. It'd have been 18 months before I had something. She was like, "Nah, I can do that. Knock it out. Boom. Now look at us. Hey."
But I was saying that we're a work in the making. We're a work in the making, and we don't have a problem with showing that. We're showing up and showing that we're a work in the making.
That's what it's about, though.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what it's about. And in the different areas, like we're excelling and see. So like this is, you know, this is I guess on the back of the wagon and we're dragging along, you know, as we're growing in other areas. So definitely, hey, make sure you go follow us on our individual, you know, channels around social media. You got Majida Bay, Maurice, Helpful Trucker. You got me at Bobe World and Happy to Greatness. Like, you can find us in different places and spaces.
And shoot us some feedback.
There we go.
Like, we would love some feedback on what you see as you're looking at these lives, these podcasts. Definitely shoot us some feedback. So look, watch this. I want y'all to, if you would like to, I want y'all to summarize. But before you summarize, like what y'all want to talk about next time? I got an idea of what I want to talk about next time. It's a popular subject.
Shoot, bro.
Have you ever heard the term a high value man?
Oh my gosh.
Y'all know.
Let's do it. No, let's do it.
What you talking about?
Well, there you go. You got to familiarize yourself with it. It'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting. I think next time we come on, we're gonna be talking about what we're gonna be talking about, Bakar. If we're talking about that subject and derivative subjects, what are we talking about?
Okay, so if I'm gonna touch that, because a part of me is just like, why would I want to touch that topic?
Why not? That's something entrepreneurs deal with 100%. Say what, Majida?
It's a new or old topic.
It's a new term, I would say. Like, I didn't hear the term until a couple of days ago. And then I kept hearing about the term. And then I checked it out a little bit today, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Even though I ain't got no affiliation with that at all, but I kind of do. But
okay, yeah.
Let's talk about it.
When you said it, I thought about I thought about this particular person, Kevin Samuels. That's what you're talking about.
Just familiarize myself with him like earlier today. I heard the term a couple of times, but I kept hearing it over the last few weeks. And again, it don't really have no relevancy to me. But then when I started listening at some of his videos today, I'm like, okay, this is interesting right here. So
yeah, I think my father actually like listens to him, like podcast. Yep.
Yeah. So I would like to talk. I mean, we don't have to, but you know, hey. It's a popular topic. Bakar looks very reserved right now.
Well, I wouldn't qualify today as a high value man. So
neither would I. Neither would I.
Let's get into that.
Neither would I. I'm on the way though.
Yeah.
I'm 100% on the way.
Look,
but neither would I.
The only boxes I fit in is what this camera carves me out in. Okay. That's the only box you can go put me in. So yeah, let's talk about.
So we're definitely gonna talk about it.
Oh yeah, let's talk about it then.
So we don't know what aspect we're gonna talk about it from. Oh, no, we don't know how we're gonna hit it yet.
From the point of view of the originator and what that means, why that's a topic in this day and age. And I can tell you today why it's a topic. Because women still ain't figured out how to win over men. I'll just tell you that.
But we probably ain't gonna just talk about that term. We're gonna probably talk about some derivative terms too.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, bring all of that.
Yeah.
Bring all of that.
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna be talking about next time. We don't know how we're gonna hit it, but we're gonna make it interesting for y'all. 2 weeks from now, next two Fridays from now.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
This will be interesting.
Yeah,
what is a high value? I probably won't be on the side that people might imagine I would be. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I don't know what people imagine.
I'm gonna get Yasmin. Yasmin's gonna be on next time we get on as well.
Let's bring your wife on. That'll be interesting.
100%. 100%. So yo, let's get back to this. I want y'all got anything to summarize with as far as what we've been discussing this week? We've been talking about a lot of stuff. We've been talking about perspective. We've been talking about exposure. We've been talking about obviously we always talking about action, but we've been talking about connection, your networking, right? We've been talking about social influence. We've been talking about social proof. We're talking about power. Talking about a lot of stuff. What y'all want to leave out with?
I would say it's find your voice and find your tribe.
Oh man, that's so sweet. I love what you just did. She's so good at that.
Yeah, like the era that we're living in, like it's and maybe it's always been that, but like people now exposed, because there's always been people in society who challenge the status quo, who are
started a movement.
Change. Yeah, right. Like there's always been those people, but so many more people now have exposure to it, right? They can actually access it, right? Because even during, let's say, the civil rights movement, it was only occurring in certain areas, right? Like there was a certain group of people who were a part of that, right? So people who were outside of it, they might not have been marching, but they could watch the marches on TV, right? Or they heard about it on the news or through certain channels about what's going on. But they weren't. But like now, you can like hear about something and like any and everybody can like go hit, right. Just like you shared the topic for the next time we get on. I can go on YouTube and like Google search.
Oh, that's what you're talking about right there.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I can get caught up and up to speed with what that is about. And so,
which means, side point, you should never show up. You ain't got permission to show up unprepared nowadays because it's too easy to show up prepared. Continue though.
And and that's a great point, right? Find your voice, find your tribe, because, and this is something like on our accountability call this morning, I'll make a couple points. One of the gentlemen on there, he's just like, he worked for Google, right? He was a big guy in Google for them, and retired from that. And I don't know how old he is exactly. Like he's probably in his 40s, maybe early 50s. But he said on there, like, you don't have to accept the status quo. You don't have to accept a job that you don't like. You don't have to accept your circumstances. You can design your life, right? But people have been preaching this for years, right? You can design, people like Jim Rohn in the 40s and 50s, right, was preaching that message, right? Bob Proctor, right? People like that. Like people have been preaching this for some time, but not enough people were exposed to it. We're in an era now where like there's no excuse. You have information at your fingertips. And if you choose not to use it to find your way to get to where you want to be, that's on you. That is nobody else, right? Like the answers are available to you, but you have to seek in order to find.
100%.
We've been accustomed to accepting our circumstances. We've been accustomed to being told what to do, how to think, right? And we can't use that excuse anymore, right? Because you can find your voice. And if I'm told, because we were like, prime example, right? We were taught Islam growing up, right? Like that we were taught that. But we grew up in a society that was predominantly Christian. And so we were taught one thing at home and then had to go to an environment in school where it was contrary to the environment that was at home. But we were still able to thrive through that, right? We were still able to grow through that. And so by being exposed to different things, right, it like that, I believe that adversity in many ways is what helped us to acknowledge our strengths, right? And acknowledge, right, like, like I don't have to accept the history that I'm taught in school because I'm being taught a different history at home, and the people I trust are the ones that are raising me, and so I'll answer these questions right on this test, but I know the truth for myself. So we were.
No, see, and I was the one who wasn't going to answer right on the test and get an F. that's what I had to overcome. That's what I was like. I'll take the F. Y'all telling lies up in here, and I can't. My spirit's at war with your lies, right? But hey, that's realizing at an early age, though, you have a choice.
You do.
And granted, it made my life harder. It definitely made my life more difficult because I've been,
maybe it might have made your life more difficult to lie on the paper. That might have made you not be able to sleep
in a different way, right?
Yeah, in a different way.
I have reached inner peace, right? Because I chose my value over the status quo. No, I understand that. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Man, my summary. I feel like I gave my summary. I gave my summary earlier, but I'll just come back to like each of us have experience and are experts in our own regard. And so I love what Majida said, find your voice and find your tribe. That's like, do that. And if you don't know what your voice is and you don't know what your tribe looks like, you really need to invest in yourself. Like, know yourself. Nothing is going to occur for you in your favor until you get to know yourself.
Facts.
You sound like Whoopi Goldberg on The Color Purple. Until you do right by me, everything you even think about gonna fail.
And you know what? I'm an
that's what
until
you
do right by you. Like you must invest in yourself and realize. And this is something that I constantly harp on, like in my coaching and in the spaces, and I'm seeing more of it come into at least the circles that I'm in, is people emphasizing like the small habits that you build every day. Like you are always building with the small decisions that you make every day. Every decision is a gateway to a new habit or a lifestyle, right? Every decision is like a new timeline that you can set your trajectory on. So Majida said that you can change direction overnight. You can absolutely change direction by making different decisions. But one of the key things you got to recognize first is that you always have a choice. It may not be an enjoyable choice. It may seem difficult. But oftentimes people will look at a hard choice and say that's not a choice, right? People with children be like, I can't because of you can. You absolutely can. But you choose not to because of what you value. And I can't have a conversation with you about your value until you recognize the power in your choices, right? So influencer experts, what do you value? I don't know. If you don't know what you value, how can you make a choice? How can you make an informed choice?
Yep.
If you don't know yourself, how can you create what you desire if you don't know yourself?
He says when you are clear about your values, it becomes easy to make decisions.
Good stuff, family. If y'all listening to this, if y'all watching this on the playback, I hope y'all getting value from this. If you did, be sure to give this post a like, share it to your page for us. And again, don't be hesitant about reaching out to us here on this post or on either one of our individual Facebook pages or channels or YouTube channels, wherever you find us at, and giving us some feedback. We would love to hear it. So absolutely. I think that was,
receive
100%. I think that was great to go out on. I was going to give a summary too, but I don't want to mess up what y'all just did.
Nah, bro.
Nah, like seriously, like no, nah, that's good.
He knows himself.
Like, nah, that was good stuff. I got a lot of value from this conversation right here. I would say, hey, this next conversation we're gonna have in 2 weeks, we'll be back on here. We're gonna talk about we already said
high value men.
Not just we might talk about high value women too.
Oh, they're out there too. It only makes sense, right?
We might talk about them too.
high value
I'm gonna watch
individuals.
tonight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it for entertainment. I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
gonna laugh
also
my
a good
way.
idea.
I'm gonna laugh all the way through the conversation because I've sat on and watched some live conversations about this, and I can't stay in it more than like 3 or 4 minutes, right? And the whole time, my face is like this, like.
Well, we already know what side you're on.
Hey, listen, I appreciate y'all for.
You muted.
My values are different.
You muted, bro. How did you went out? Your sound went out.
Yep, he didn't have nothing to say. And that's the end. Look, this has been the Seer Mastermind Show with Maurice, Majida, and Bakar. We are your Seer Mastermind hosts and coaches and leaders and co-founders. Here, just sharing the journey. Our story, our journey, our way. Peace. We'll see you in 2 Fridays.